representative of permanent observer states and other members of the Diplomatic Corps, Assistant Secretary General Nestor Mendez, and General Secretariat colleagues. Our guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, buenos dias, bonjour, bonjour. On behalf of Assistant Secretary General Nestor Mendez, I extend a warm welcome to you to the inauguration of the 6th Inter-American Week for People of African Descent, and it is my honor to guide today's proceedings. Fighting slavery's legacy of racism through transformative education in the Americas. Adopted and adapted from the United Nations, that is the theme under which the Organization of American States will observe this year's Inter-American Week for People of African Descent. With this in mind, the speakers on our program today will address this year's theme, and we will begin with words of welcome by His Excellency Anthony Philip Spencer, Chair of the Permanent Council and Permanent Representative of Trinidad and Tobago. Interpretation is provided for those who need it, and you may find your desired language channels indicated on the notice. I think the notices are over there. Your Excellency, I am pleased to welcome you to the floor.
Permanent, interim, and alternate representatives of OAS member states, Assistant Secretary General, permanent observers, distinguished presenters and performers, sisters and brothers of African descent in the Americas, ladies and gentlemen, Ibulachi, Abari, Asubui, Memuache, Subana. I just said to you good morning in Igbo, Swahili, Twi, and Zulu. Good morning. As a person of African descent in the Americas, and specifically from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, I am honored to welcome you on behalf of the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States to this opening ceremony for the 6th Inter-American Week for People of African Descent in the Americas. Since 2018, the OAS has advocated for and advanced the value, visibility, and voice of persons of African descent in the Americas. In that process of validation of our hemisphere's Afro-descendants, this organization has also recognized the undesirable effects on our region's political realities and on its own institutional culture from the absence at the birth of the OAS of many of its current member states, which are inhabited by large populations of persons of African descent. Therefore, many Afro-descendant persons in the Americas had neither voice nor vote during at least the first 2 decades of the OAS, nor in the original design and development of the Inter-American human rights system, beginning with the IACHR at its establishment in 1959. This annual commemoration therefore reiterates the commitment of the OAS to addressing and reversing, among other challenges, structural and systemic sources of the denial of the right to social justice by persons of African descent in the Americas, including through the persistence of inequitable privilege and unjust advantage for other groups of persons. This year's 6th Inter-American Week for persons of African descent in the Americas is being commemorated with the theme of fighting slavery's legacy of racism through transformative education in the Americas. Slavery unquestionably has been one of the most pernicious and persistent structural and systemic sources of inequitable privilege and unjust advantage, including in the Americas. As the chair of the Permanent Council, I am therefore pleased to remind you that at our special meeting on Wednesday, March 22nd, the Permanent Council will also commemorate the UN-declared observance of the International Day of Remembrance for victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. Wednesday's special meeting of the Permanent Council will be our specific contribution to this important week of reflection and resolve to increase the value, voice, and visibility of persons of African descent in the Americas. The Permanent Council continues to recognize and commend highly the Office of the OAS Assistant Secretary General, led by Ambassador Nestor Mendez, his Chief of Staff, Ambassador Lacilia Prince, and every member of the team at his office for its dedication and diligence in managing and implementing this annual week for persons of African descent in the Americas. This week is being observed in furtherance of the original OAS General Assembly resolution mandate adopted in June 2014. It's in compliance with the Plan of Action for the Decade for Persons of African Descent in the Americas, adopted by the General Assembly in June 2016. It proceeds in accordance with OAS Permanent Council Resolution 1093 of February 2018, and most importantly, it advances the most recent expression of the collective will of OAS member states to promote the effective participation, to recognize and reward the value of persons of African descent right here at the OAS, as adopted in June 2019 in General Assembly Resolution 2934. Again, it's good seeing all of you here. It's good seeing so many of my handsome and beautiful brothers and sisters of African descent here in the Americas. Thank you for your contribution to this week. It's an important week. Thank you for your participation in the activities of this week, and I look forward to seeing the transformative impact that weeks like this will continue to have in advancing the value, voice, and visibility of persons of African descent in the Americas. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Philip Spencer. Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Mr. Luis Almagro, is unavoidably away from headquarters today, but he has sent us an important video message for this marquee event. We will now listen to the Secretary General.
My family.
This week, we celebrate the 6th Inter-American Week for People of African Descent under the theme, Fighting Slavery Legacy of Racism Through Transformative Education in the Americas. The General Secretariat of the Organization of American States is firmly committed to work with member states to develop and strengthen socioeconomic policies that empower diverse communities of people living in the Americas today. We want to foster a region that embraces all, where every individual has equal and equitable access to opportunities, regardless of race, religion, gender, nationality, or creed. At the center of our efforts must be an acknowledgement of the discriminatory behavior resulting from the transatlantic slave trade and colonial era. This behavior has made it harder for our Afro-descendant brothers and sisters to gain access to affordable education, housing, and health care, as well as fair employment and wealth opportunities in the Western Hemisphere. However, it is not too late to change this. With sound judgment, corrective action, and an open heart, we can dismantle the stereotypes, extinguish microaggressions, and eliminate discriminatory biases that plague our societies. The activities of this week and forthcoming actionable pledges by member states should serve as a reminder of why our countries have adopted the OES Charter. In the spirit of healing, we will continue our work to ensure more rights for all the people of the Americas. Thank you.
Distinguished delegations, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to invite Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Nestor Mendez, to deliver the keynote remarks for this inauguration ceremony. Ambassador Mendez, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos días a todas y todos. Distinguished Chair of the OAS Permanent Council and Permanent Representative of Trinidad and Tobago, and a good friend, Ambassador Anthony Phillips Spencer, distinguished permanent and alternate representatives, representatives of observer states, and other members of the diplomatic community, officials and staff members of the OAS General Secretariat, special invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning. On this, the 6th observance of the Inter-American Week for people of African descent in the Americas, it is my signal honor to extend to you and to those in our virtual audience a heartfelt welcome to the OAS, the House of the Americas, to launch this historic week. Commemorated under the theme, Fighting Slavery's Legacy of Racism Through Transformative Education in the Americas, this year's commemorative events will be marked by a series of both in-person and virtual activities designed to highlight the immense power of transformative education in addressing historical injustices and promoting meaningful action towards equity and inclusion in our hemisphere. Nos complace celebrar hoy este lanzamiento en persona en la sede de la OEA. Nuestra organización ha regresado gradualmente a las actividades presenciales después de lidiar con el impacto de la pandemia de COVID-19 sobre nuestras funciones cotidianas, que no solo ha dejado una marca indeleble en nuestra organización, sino que se refleja en todo nuestro hemisferio y en el mundo. Es absolutamente innegable que la pandemia provocó un cambio importante en los procesos de pensamiento y las perspectivas tradicionales, trastocando las nociones arraigadas y generando nuevas perspectivas sobre los elementos fundamentales de nuestras sociedades. Uno de estos replanteamientos concierne a la educación y al entorno tradicional del aprendizaje. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, defines transformative education as, open quotes, teaching and learning geared to motivate and empower learners to take informed decisions and actions at the individual, community, and global level, end of quote. Through instructive simulation exercises, discovery learning methods, and self-examination of preconceived notions and assumptions, transformative education has the potential to exponentially shift how learners perceive the world, leading to a more informed and empathetic global citizens, which is essential to cultural, economic, and political advancement. At the OAS, we are committed to ensuring that our work aligns with the shifting needs of our peoples in the Americas. Through our many program offerings, including scholarships, internships, and the Model OAS, it is imperative that our work programs in education reach a broad population, inclusive of the underserved and marginalized, particularly those of African descent, to foster an indomitable sense of prideful cultural identity and civic engagement. To that end, the OAS Plan of Action, for the Decade for People of African Descent in the Americas, 2016 to 2025, which guides the work of the organization on matters pertaining to Afro-descendants, speaks directly to the topic of education within the strategic line of action on education in terms of equality and awareness. Its objectives include a call for collaboration with international and regional organizations and universities to assist member states to include in their study programs the history of Africa and the population of African descent in the Americas, the fight against racism, racial discrimination and intolerance through an intercultural or ethno-educational approach. Señoras y señores, en el 2016, mi oficina organizó el primer evento de la OEA en conmemoración del Mes de la Historia Negra, evento considerado único. El evento tuvo un gran efecto, en particular entre los Estados miembros de la OEA y la sociedad civil, que manifestaron un firme deseo de contar con un espacio establecido y dedicado en el calendario de nuestra institución para debatir temas relativos a la comunidad afrodescendiente. Así originó la Semana Interamericana para las y los Afrodescendientes, hoy institucionalizada en la organización. Quienes no habían sido escuchados ni vistos hasta entonces, ahora encontraron un espacio para hablar y hacerse ver. A los Estados miembros les complacerá saber que al ampliarse la conmemoración anual, las actividades de este año cuentan con la participación de más áreas de la Secretaría General, que este año incluyen a la Secretaría de Acceso a Derechos y Equidad, la Secretaría de Desarrollo Integral, la Secretaría de Asuntos Hemisféricos, la Oficina del Consejo Estratégico y también la Comisión Interamericana de Derechos Humanos. No digo esto como autocomplacencia, sino para enfatizar y subrayar que como organización cuya misión se centra en más derechos para más personas, todas y todos tenemos un papel que desempeñar para responder a la herencia de la esclavitud y su impacto en las personas afrodescendientes. Mientras haya todavía un problema que enfrenten las personas afrodescendientes que estén directamente relacionados con la herencia de la esclavitud y la historia del colonialismo, nuestro trabajo aquí aún no termina. Ladies and gentlemen, in that context, the activities of this year's Inter-American Week seek not only to inform its audience about the atrocities of slavery and its negative impact on the growth of Afro-descendant communities, but also they highlight the various ways in which Afro-descendant communities can capitalize on existing economic opportunities and forge a path towards socioeconomic success and prosperity. The activities of this week include the following. 1. A guided tour of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture, which will take place tomorrow morning. I take this opportunity to recognize the presence of our partners from the Smithsonian who have joined us here today and to tell them thank you very much for your collaboration over the years and allowing us to host this tour for the OAS diplomats. Number 2, on Wednesday, there will be a special session of the Permanent Council to commemorate the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, which will be observed under the week's theme. Number 3, on Thursday, a webinar organized by the Executive Secretariat for Integral Development and the Secretariat for Access to Rights and Equity will be held and will feature a panel discussion on the topic Best Practices in the Incorporation of Ethno-Education in Curricular Programs. Number 4, on Friday, there will be a special edition of A Chat with the OAS, a virtual live event organized by representatives in our OAS national offices, which will feature panelists addressing the theme Decolonizing Education in the Americas, mainstreaming policies and practices that engender pride in African heritage and identity. And the fifth activity, the Secretariat for Hemispheric Affairs is collaborating with my office in organizing a podcast series entitled Blockchain Technology, a transformative technology for persons of African descent, which will analyze the possibilities for inclusion and wealth creation which transformative technologies such as blockchain represent. That Secretariat is also collaborating with us on a literary exhibition of the works of fiction or non-fiction of Afro-descendant authors, and this exhibition is currently on display here in the Hall of Heroes, right outside. Additionally, the organization's country offices will hold activities in the respective member states, including a lecture series featuring interviews with prominent individuals in the field of education, as well as national authorities on salient sub-themes pertaining to the week. Señoras y señores, no olvidemos dónde empieza la educación. Las semillas que se siembren en las mentes de niñas y niños germinarán, crecerán y florecerán en los adultos del mañana. Como dice un proverbio africano, el conocimiento es como un jardín. Si no se cultiva, no se puede cosechar. Por lo tanto, tenemos la responsabilidad colectiva de cultivar estas mentes con los principios de igualdad, equidad y respeto hacia todos los seres humanos. Con esto en mente, también hemos creado el Rincón de Lectura Infantil y Juvenil, una recopilación en línea de varios títulos de libros de todo el hemisferio que destacan las historias de las y los afrodescendientes e inspiran el pensamiento crítico. Esperamos poder colaborar con las bibliotecas del área metropolitana de Washington, compartiendo con ellas esta lista con la esperanza de ampliar la exposición de las y los jóvenes lectores a una mayor variedad de literatura. It is our hope that the week's events will shed light on the importance of transformative education in addressing the deep-rooted historical legacy of slavery and engender new perspectives and action items on raising awareness on the subject matter. Before concluding, I wish to thank all the member states for their constant support in the planning and execution of the week. As these events are not budgeted in the regular fund, please allow me to give special recognition to the permanent missions of Canada, Colombia, and the United States for their financial contributions, without which several of the activities of this week would not have been possible. My thanks also to all the secretariats of the General Secretariat who have collaborated with my office. We value your steadfast support and commitment. Lastly, I would like to recognize the staff in my office who worked tirelessly to prepare for the week's activities and to acknowledge our representatives in the national offices for their laudable efforts to organize activities in their respective member states. With that said, it is my great honor to declare open the 2023 Inter-American Week for People of African Descent in the Americas, in the hope that it will serve to edify and inspire you to become a catalyst for transformational learning and impactful change within your community. I thank you for joining us today in person and virtually, and I invite you to continue to support all of our activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary General Mendez. And if I might, I would like to thank the Chair of the Permanent Council, the Secretary General, the Assistant Secretary General for their inspiring words, and the clarion call for collective action to educate and to transform. The first of the cultural performances on our program will be an item of calypso music. The song, I Am an African, comes from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, from one of the best-known calypsonians, Alston Beckett Cyrus, and today it will be performed by Miss Candilla Williams-Johnson of the Image Band. Please come forward. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Hello, everyone. Today is a special day. We're going to honor our heritage, our Black heritage. And I'm going to do this number by Beckett. You can dance along. Growing up in the Caribbean, I was taught about colonism. Growing up in the Caribbean, I was taught about colonism. But when I check out my history and I check out my ancestry, I have to face reality. I could boast and brag, I could wave my flag, but I know who I am. I am an African. I'm proud of the motherland. Don't doubt me. I'm proud of my ancestry. Do a little dance. Oh, how they try to ignore my mother country. Oh, how they try to brainwash me. Ignore my mother country. But when I remember the triangle, how they bought and sold my people, tell myself that's impossible. When I remember the great trips, them wicked ships, I remember all the injustice. I am an African. I'm proud of the motherland. Don't doubt me. I'm proud of the ancestry. I am an African. I'm proud of the motherland. Don't doubt me. I'm proud of my ancestry. Yeah. I am African. Don't doubt me. I'm from the Caribbean. No money could get me to betray my ancestry. Don't try me. I am an African. Let me hear you.
All right. Hear me. Jamaicans,
Hey, African. Sing it.
Trinbagonians, Africans, Barbadians,
Sing it.
African,
Join me.
Antiguans, Africans, Barbadians,
Hey, African.
Kittitians,
African.
Nigerians,
African.
Vincentians,
African.
Grenadians,
African.
Dominicans,
African.
St. Lucians,
African.
Virgin Islanders,
African.
Anguillians,
African.
Guyanese,
African.
Haitians,
African.
Cubans,
African.
Bahamians,
African.
Bermudians,
African.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Africa. Africa.
Thank you.
I wish I can call an encore. That was spectacular. Thank you so very much. Special thanks to Mr. Lawson Sargent, owner of the Image Band, for readily accepting our request to participate in today's program, and moreover for generously sponsoring this performance. And I'm sure you all agree that that was spectacular. Thank you so much to Mrs. Williams-Johnson for a magnificent performance. Now we will have some poetry. She is a diplomat. She is a poet. She is the interim representative of St. Kitts and Nevis, Mrs. Sonia Body Thompson. You're invited to come to the stage. Thank you very much. She will perform her very own poem, Black is My Story.
Black is my story. Black is my story. From West Africa to St. Christopher, journeyed my forefathers in agony. After many grueling weeks on the high seas, tired and woe-begone, they came to the shores of Sugar City, taken up to Pall Mall Square to know their destiny. Cargo of prime slaves to be sold to the bidder with the highest currency. Sold to estates like Belmont, Buckley's, and Estridge. Father, mother, and children separated, off to live a life of slavery in bondage. Through sunshine and rain, endlessly they slaved, satisfying masses' requests one by one as they came. Negroes toiling to make planter rich and famed. But the Buckley's riot of the 1930s in St. Kitts proved our ancestors had stamina and integrity. So they rejected master's salary offer of mediocrity. And through the singing of chants and the beating of the drum, African culture was preserved with fun. Boom, boom, boom. From Africa we come, relentless, determined, and bursting with creativity. Through me, they have left their legacy to empower the people of my region and my country. My family, some of your family, the underpaid protagonists of Caribbean history. And so yes, that's how I know that black, it's my story. I thank you.
Written and articulated in her very own words so eloquently. Thank you very much, Mrs. Body Thompson. The next item on our program is titled, What's in a Name? African Names. What's in a name? I've borrowed those words from the English poet and playwright William Shakespeare. Today, we would like to shed some light on some African names and what they mean. How does one treat the name of another when that name is not common or not familiar to you? Do we make an effort to understand them, to appreciate them? Traditional African names are beautiful, they are powerful, they have meaning. Regrettably, I don't have one of my own to share with you, but I invite you to listen to the testimonies of some who have, starting with an actress you may recognize from the series Orange is the New Black.
My family named me Uza Amaka. That's my full name. It means the road is good. Isn't that a beautiful name? Thanks, Mom. I got it for my birthday. Uza Amaka. But I grew up in a small New England town, and there weren't a lot of Nigerian Americans living in my region. And I would have teachers or anyone, neighbors, try and say my name, and it would be Azumeka, Uzamaka, Uzokuza, any version that they could think of other than Uzamaka. So I came home from school one day, and my mom was cooking in the kitchen, as she is wont to do, the mother of 5 children. And I said to her, Mommy, can I ask you a question? She said, I said, can you call me Zoe? And she stopped and gave that mother look that only mothers know and have, and said, why? And I said, because no one can say Uza Amaka. And she looked at me and she said, if they can learn to say Tchaikovsky and Michelangelo and Dostoevsky, then they can learn to say Uza Amaka. And I never asked her again. And what is amazing now, standing in my womanhood, in my power, is I wouldn't change my name for a second. I'm so proud of that name and what stems behind it and what it represents. So do not ever erase those identifiers that are held in you, whether it's your gap, whether it's your name, whether it's your food. It is yours, and it was given to you at birth, and it is yours to own.
Okay, yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Abayomi. It means born to bring joy. That's what my parents named me, Abayomi, and it's from the Yoruba people, West Africa.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My parents decided to name me Mandisa. It means sweet. I know some of you will be shocked at that. But it means sweet. It comes from the Xhosa tribe in South Africa. Actually, my full name is Mandisa Akila Ayodele Downs. That's sweet, intelligent, joy comes home. I remember in high school telling my friends that, and they were like, oh, so does Downs mean none of the above? So I just wanted to add as well that I appreciate this work being done by Ambassador Lasilia Prince about your name and the power of a name, the power of knowing your origins. I obviously, going to school, my name was also in Barbados, was also not usual. I went through a lot of what Uzo Baka, I went through a lot of what she went through, where teachers couldn't pronounce my name or didn't try hard enough. I remember when I was studying in Spain, I had a landlady who, when I told her my name, she said, "Oh no, that's just too hard. I'm going to call you Marissa." She said that very calmly and was very serious about that. But I think we need to take power of our names and fight for them. Actually, my son, his name is Johanse, which means God's gift. He's very serious about it. He's done better than me. He doesn't, at school, wherever he goes, he doesn't let anyone call him anything but Johanse. If you say Johans, if you say Johansen, if you say anything but Johanse, he doesn't acknowledge you. In fact, just last night, a friend of mine called and was like, "Oh, Johansen, how are you doing?" He said, "You just named someone who's not me, so I don't know who you're talking about." So, and they say the children will lead you, so I've learned a lot from him and to take in power of my name. So, thank you.
Good morning. My parents named me Omari. My name means God, the highest. It comes from the Swahili language. And my full name is Omari Sietu Williams. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Abayomi Edwards Dyer of the Office of the Assistant Secretary General, Mandisa Downs from the Permanent Mission of Barbados, and Omari Williams from the Permanent Mission of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Traditional African names are distinguished and dignified in their profundity. Some are expression of gratitude to God, some are an invocation to God for blessings on the child, and some names express the parents' hopes and aspirations for their child. We have prepared an alphabet of names from A to Z, which you will find on a poster board outside in the Hall of Heroes. It is a collection of names from throughout the entire African continent, showing the names, the origins, and the meanings. There is also a display of well-known persons with African names and their meanings, and those exhibits will remain on display throughout this entire week, and we hope that you will take the time to review it. Y ahora me complace dar la bienvenida a Su Excelencia Luis Ernesto Vargas, representante permanente de Colombia ante la OEA, para presentar la siguiente actuación cultural en nuestro programa.
Muy buenos días para todos ustedes. Tengo el inmenso placer de presentar en esta ceremonia de inauguración de esta 6ª Semana Interamericana de las y los Afrodescendientes de las Américas a una destacadísima artista colombiana, la soprano Betty Garcés. Ella simboliza los atributos más valiosos de la cultura, tradición e identidad de Colombia. Nacida en Buenaventura, arropada por la identidad musical de las raíces africanas del Pacífico colombiano, Betty es hoy reconocida como una de las sopranos líricas más importantes, cuya historia de lucha, tenacidad y resiliencia la llevaron a ser la primera artista afrocolombiana en desarrollar una carrera internacional en ópera, música de cámara, laúd y concierto. Betty fue homenajeada en 2021 con el alto reconocimiento artístico por el Ministerio de Cultura de Colombia y además fue destacada en 2020 como una de las más creativas por parte de Forbes. Es miembro del movimiento colectivo Ópera por la Paz. Tiene una beca de residencia artística de la Fundación Alemana Möller y es la creadora del colectivo activista artístico y creativo Point of Difference. Con este esfuerzo que realiza Colombia, su gobierno, el presidente Petro demuestra su compromiso con la cultura para tener a Betty Garcés hoy en la Casa de las Américas. Queremos inspirar a miles de hombres y mujeres de la región, de esa región pacífica colombiana, que sueñan con conquistar el mundo por medio de su talento y su educación. Betty simboliza el valor y riqueza de todos los afrocolombianos. Sus interpretaciones siempre albergan un mensaje de esperanza sobre el poder de la música y sobre el poder de las artes como instrumento para sanar, restaurar y transformar vidas, especialmente con personas en condiciones socioeconómicas menos favorables. A Betty la acompaña además el maestro Alejandro Roca, director musical y pianista, quien es protagonista de la escena lírica de Colombia, con un extenso trabajo de formato entre la ópera y la zarzuela. El maestro Roca se ha desempeñado como director musical de la Ópera de Colombia, el Teatro Colón y el Teatro Mayor. Ha trabajado con las orquestas más importantes de Colombia y ha sido director académico del Festival Internacional de Música de Cartagena, así como director musical en Italia. Y desde 2022 forma parte del claustro de profesores de la Universidad de Yale en Estados Unidos como entrenador vocal especializado en ópera. Así que hoy, como lo hicimos también hace 6 años, Colombia sigue participando en este acto que nuestros hermanos afrocolombianos llenan de color, de vida, de alegría, y aspiramos a que sigan haciendo así por todo el mundo, para que, por lo menos en la parte nuestra, Colombia sea potencia mundial por la vida. Bienvenida, Betty.
Aquí. Eso. Perfecto. Muy buenos días, damas y caballeros. Es un placer, un inmenso honor para mí estar en esta mañana aquí junto a mi maravilloso colega Alejandro Roca, compartiendo con ustedes este pequeño, delicioso, bello programa que hemos escogido en honor a nuestra cultura afro alrededor del mundo. Muchísimas gracias por el honor de permitirme estar aquí con ustedes. Acabaron de escuchar de la ópera Adriana Lecouvreur, el aria de Adriana, Io son l'umiliancella. Es una de mis arias de ópera favoritas. Bueno, ya el embajador nos hizo un pequeño resumen acerca de nuestras historias, así que no queda mucho por decir, más que cuento con la inmensa alegría y honor, lo digo mucho, pero es así, de ser la primera soprano afrocolombiana construyendo una carrera internacional. Para mí es un privilegio muy grande y una responsabilidad inmensa que me ha sido entregada de poder de alguna forma ir escribiendo mi historia y con esto ir abriendo camino para las siguientes generaciones de sopranos, de tenores, de cantantes, de artistas, de personas que de alguna forma se puedan identificar con esta historia que es como muchas otras historias, para tomar impulso y de alguna forma comenzar a soñar en grande con llegar mucho más lejos de lo que estamos acostumbrados. En este pequeño bloque que queremos presentarles a continuación, tenemos al compositor y pianista colombiano Jaime León, quien es una de las figuras más importantes de los años 20 en Colombia y en Estados Unidos. Pero a su vez queremos rendir un homenaje y exaltar a dos mujeres artistas cuyos poemas fueron utilizados para estas dos canciones. La poetisa Dora Castellanos, en la canción Algún Día, y posteriormente la poetisa y activista bogotana Isabel Lleras Restrepo, en la canción La Campesina. Espero que lo disfruten. Muchísimas gracias. Espero que lo estén disfrutando. ¡Ay, qué bueno! Porque tenemos un par de canciones más que de todo corazón queremos presentarles. Bueno, yo nací en Buenaventura, a orillas de nuestro Pacífico colombiano. Y gracias a la ayuda de un grupo de grandes amigos, tienen ustedes hoy delante de ustedes un artista que se ha formado, que ha hecho un camino lleno de muchas luchas, lleno de muchas controversias, digo yo. Pero tienen delante de ustedes una historia que se ha escrito que de alguna forma busca ser inspiración para muchos y de alguna forma busca ser un ejemplo de superación de las barreras con las cuales como afro en el mundo tenemos que encontrarnos. Barreras de rechazo, barreras de desigualdad, de abuso, barreras de olvido, y todos aquí podemos nombrar unas cuantas. Es algo que es claro delante de nuestros ojos. Pero allí, en Buenaventura, hay miles de historias como esta. Aquí puede ser, no, es la primera, wow, es por el momento la única. Pero lo verdaderamente grande es que como esta historia, que para muchos es tan llamativa, es tan poderosa, hay miles ahí en Buenaventura, miles de historias como esta, de personas comunes y corrientes, con talentos impresionantes, maravillosos, esperando por oportunidades para ser descubiertos, para ser impulsados y que de alguna forma puedan desarrollar ese talento y dar los pasos hacia adelante a convertirse en esos gigantes que están llamados a ser. Allí, de donde vengo, esos ritmos y cánticos cotidianos están llenos de mucho colorido, de fiestas, de tambores y también de arrullos, melancolía y muchas luchas, como ya lo mencioné. Y suenan quizá muy diferente a lo que ustedes acaban de escuchar, ¿no? La pregunta que me hacen siempre es, ¿pero por qué cantas lírico? Si tú eres del Pacífico, deberías estar cantando salsa o cantando arrullos, música del Pacífico. Y la verdad es que a mí misma me ha sorprendido mucho haber terminado en este camino, cantando lírico y cantando ópera. Pero, ¿por qué no? ¿Por qué no? La música y el arte están allí para todos, en los idiomas que sean, con los ritmos que sean. Y este género vino a mi vida de alguna forma a abrazarme, a transformar mi manera de vivir, de ver las cosas, a abrir mi corazón y a abrirme la oportunidad de tener un lenguaje nuevo para expresar mi corazón, para contar las historias, para elevar mi voz, la voz que yo misma no conocía. Y como embajadora del Pacífico colombiano, tengo el honor de venir de este lugar y ser en este momento la única persona que se puede atrever a hacer una fusión entre estos dos mundos en este campo. Y es un honor porque a través de esta técnica que he aprendido, tengo la oportunidad de contar las historias de mi gente negra, de contar las historias cotidianas de mis vecinos, de las abuelas, de los arrullos que se cantaban. Y es justamente algo así lo que queremos mostrarles en este momento, ¿no? Tenemos un pequeño grupo final del compositor vallecaucano Luis Carlos Espinosa, con textos del poeta afrocolombiano Elías Martán Góngora, El ritmo mulato para bogas negros, seguido por el romance de la niña negra de José María Tena. Y luego tenemos una nana, una canción de cuna para dormir a un negrito, del compositor catalán Xavier Montsalvatge. Y finalizando, una muy colorida salida de Cecilia Valdés, de la zarzuela cubana Cecilia Valdés de Gonzalo Roig. Espero lo disfruten y al final voy a decir una cosa más. ¿Les gustaría una última canción? Ok. Bueno, entonces vamos a regalarles una canción muy conocida. No sé, quizá hayan escuchado alguna vez en su vida Summertime. Sí, bueno, pues queremos regalarles esta canción en la versión de Gershwin, en la ópera Porgy and Bess.
Ha sido espectacular. Una actuación magnífica. Señora Gases nos ha honrado a la OEA con su actuación para dar inicio a esta Semana Interamericana para los y las afrodescendientes, y tuvimos también el privilegio de contar con la presencia del acompañamiento del señor Alejandro Roca. En representación del secretario general adjunto, Néstor Méndez, en nombre de la OEA, permítanme expresar permíteme expresar agradecimiento a la Misión Permanente de Colombia por su firme compromiso con la Semana Interamericana y por sus esfuerzos para hacer posible la visita de señora Garcés a los Estados Unidos, en particular para este evento. Okay, so we are nearing the end of the program. But before we do, permettez-moi d'exprimer à nouveau mes remerciements, tout d'abord à tous les États membres pour leur engagement en faveur de la Semaine interaméricaine des personnes d'ascendance africaine, et en particulier au Canada, à la Colombie et aux États-Unis pour les contributions qui nous permettent de mener à bien plusieurs des activités de cette semaine, y compris les services d'interprétation. So I wish to reiterate the thanks that ASG Mendez has expressed to the other secretariats of the General Secretariat who have been working closely with the Office of the Assistant Secretary General. The Secretariat for Access to Rights and Equity, the Secretariat for Integral Development, the Secretariat for Hemispheric Affairs, the Strategic Council, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, and the Office of the Secretary General. And of course, to the very hard-working team of the Office of the Assistant Secretary General, who spared no effort in organizing this and the other events of this week. We must thank our interpreters, without whom we would not have been able to communicate our message in the multiple languages of the organization in order to reach the people of this hemisphere. To each and every person from the permanent missions and from the General Secretariat who had a hand in organizing the various events for this week, please accept immense gratitude for your contributions from ASG Mendez. And to those, we also extend thanks as well to our colleagues from the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, who are here with us today, and they've given us support annually in this seminal week of activities. As you've heard the ASG say, we will be visiting there tomorrow. Together, we hope that our collective efforts will effectively respond to the mandates of the OAS Plan of Action for the decade for the people of African descent in the Americas. And on that final note, I wish to turn over to my colleague, the Secretary for Access to Rights and Equity, Mary Carmen Plata. We will trade places. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, embajadora Prince. Es muy emotivo para mí poder concluir esta importante ceremonia que da inicio a la 6ª Semana Interamericana de las y los afrodescendientes en las Américas. Al ser la primera vez que nos reunimos para esta conmemoración de forma presencial luego de 2 años, considero que la oportunidad de estar nuevamente cerca, compartiendo en este recinto con invitados e invitadas tan distinguidos, nos propone una antesala a lo que estoy segura será una semana de grandes mensajes, de grandes aprendizajes y de mucha reflexión. Esta mañana se ha marcado la diferencia al incluir elementos culturales tan poderosos, voces de mujeres poderosas también. Cuando hablamos sobre la historia de lo que ha representado el legado de la esclavitud en nuestro continente, son conversaciones que nos llenan muchas veces de gran frustración e impotencia, pero hoy fueron conformadas o transformadas a mensajes hermosos. El que estemos hoy reunidos y reunidas aquí, viviendo una experiencia cultural colectiva como la que hemos compartido, creo que nos demuestra que ciertamente hemos llegado muy lejos. Hoy sus voces han llegado lejos, sus nombres han llegado lejos y reivindican a muchas y a muchos. Hoy podemos reflexionar y sentir en un poema, en una canción, esos mensajes y elementos que forman parte de nuestra cultura, de nuestras raíces, lo que nos conecta más allá de los espacios geográficos o del idioma. Hoy hablamos un idioma común al acercarnos a nuestras raíces afrodescendientes. Y en ese ambiente partimos a lo que será una semana que creo que nos llenará de experiencias y perspectivas para avanzar en la labor de nuestra organización en este contexto multilateral. Una labor que no es menor, porque aunque nuestra región ha avanzado y hoy contamos con un plan de acción del decenio de las personas afrodescendientes en las Américas, con una convención interamericana contra el racismo, la discriminación racial y formas conexas de intolerancia, aún nos falta un camino y tenemos el reto de recorrerlos juntas y juntos. Un camino que confiamos que nuestros Estados miembros seguirán avanzando, asumiendo los retos con mucho enfoque y siempre con una visión encaminada al más amplio reconocimiento de los derechos humanos de las personas afrodescendientes en nuestro hemisferio. Quisiera reconocer a la Oficina del Secretario General Adjunto, embajador Néstor Méndez, a la embajadora Lacilia Prince, que ha liderado toda la organización de este evento también, y a su equipo incansable por la labor no solo de este año, sino de cada año, los presenciales y los virtuales también. Saben que cuentan siempre con nuestra Secretaría de Acceso a Derechos y Equidad y confiamos que en estas colaboraciones, tal y como lo anotó la embajadora Prince, nos permiten enfocarnos y trabajar mejor, pero también fortalecer nuestra organización. Esperamos que esta semana permita espacios de importantes diálogos y reflexiones en el marco de la educación transformadora como una herramienta para luchar contra el legado de la esclavitud. Vemos en la educación transformadora una oportunidad para que nuestros pueblos finalmente avancen con una perspectiva que nos ayude a sanar, a reparar y a crecer en forma equitativa y justa para todos y todas. Muchísimas gracias.